For more on the debate, we're joined by Todd Belt, a professor and the political management program director at George Washington University. Professor, let me pick up where Philip left off with the vice presidential debate, and not the same type of fiasco we saw in the presidential debate. What were your thoughts, your takeaway, and in your opinion, who won?
Well, that's a really good question. Who did win? I think Philip was right that, unfortunately, poor Mike Pence, he did pretty well, but all of his glory was lost with the whole issue of rescheduling the next set of debates. Both candidates, I think, really talked to their base, and I think that that actually bodes ill for the president because the polls are really moving against him, and he hasn't done much to expand outside of his base. We saw Mike Pence use the usual Republican slogans, if they're going to raise your taxes and they're coming after you, and that's sort of some fear-mongering there. We saw Kamala Harris actually talk a little bit about some policy issues and some ideas, which was refreshing. We certainly didn't get that in the first debate. But there were times where this was also a difficult one to watch. There were a lot of interruptions, and how they handled the interruptions I also thought was pretty telling.
What about Pence in terms of making scoring points here? What do you think was his strongest moment?
Well, I think Pence's strongest moment was really trying to focus in on those issues that are of importance to the Republican Party, the issue of taxes, the issues of law and order, and also saying that there's optimism that the president can still win. He expects him to win, so trying to stimulate that enthusiasm for the Republican base. I thought those were his best efforts last night.
Let me move on to the presidential debate and the uncertainty surrounding those. What do you think is going to happen? Was that debate that we saw last week, was that it? Do you think that's the end of presidential debates? And is it really okay for a sitting president less than a month before the election to refuse to take part in a debate because it's virtual and he thinks it's a waste of time?
Well, that's exactly the case. What the president wants to do is he wants to debate in the way he likes to debate. He likes to interrupt. He likes to be a little bit of a bully. He likes to throw other people off their game. And if he's in a virtual format, he won't be able to do that. However, the president is behind in the polls, as I mentioned, especially in swing states. What he's going to need to do is he needs to talk to people, and he needs to get out there, and he needs those debates more than Biden does at this moment.
So do you think it's a political risk for the Trump campaign by not taking part in any kind of future debates?
I absolutely think it's a risk. I think that's absolutely correct. And that's not just for the fact that they're behind, but also because it doesn't mesh with what they've been saying, which is that things are getting better. We're turning the corner. The coronavirus isn't really that bad. The president had it and he's better now. The economy is getting better. If the president refuses to debate, then he doesn't have the opportunity to make those pitches and to actually say that things are normal.
Professor, I also want to get into President Trump's reaction about the vice presidential debates. Of course, he thinks Vice President Pence won. He tweeted that last night. But he also called Kamala Harris, Senator Harris, a communist and a monster. And I'm just wondering what you think about that. Would he have done that if she had been a white woman?
That's a real important question. I mean, this president does say things to certain people that he might not be saying to others. But let's face it, the president really does have his back to the wall here. He's watching everything slip away from him, so he's throwing everything he can. He's been tweeting over 100 times a day trying to get back into this race as best he can. He can't be out there doing his rallies and showing the strength that he likes to. And so it's coming down to, smear tactics and insults.
Smear tactics and insults. We'll leave it there. Professor Todd Belt, thank you.